Chichi. Chichi is the wife of Son Gokū and the mother of Son Gohan and Goten. As the matriarch of the family, she is very protective over her children. She is also a former martial artist and participated in the 23rd Tenka-Ichi Budōkai, where shortly after she married Goku. Personality. In her childhood, Chichi was a shy, sweet girl and had much of her father's kind disposition, despite the rumors of the man's brutality and fearsome nature. While young, the girl often fantasized about marriage, and she chose Goku to be her husband because she was a victim of his pat-pat, and she believed this meant Goku liked her. As Chichi was able to ride Kintown, she was pure of heart as a child. In the original Japanese version of the anime, as well as both the Japanese manga and the Viz translation, Chichi speaks with a notable hick accent, despite her well-off upbringing. She shares this similarity with her husband, Goku, who also speaks in a hickish manner that reflects his wild upbringing. Like her husband and father, Chichi speaks in the Tohoku dialect of Japanese, what is essentially a hick dialect. She uses the personal pronoun oira, a pronoun used by speakers of this dialect, to indicate a rural background. As an adult, Chi-Chi's personality changed entirely. Her shy demeanor had vanished entirely, and she had become far more spunky and aggressive. These traits are only exacerbated further after Chi-Chi married Goku and had a son. She is frequently portrayed as a brash, nagging woman, but well-meaning, worrying over her son despite his ability to take care of himself. Contrary to Goku's opinions that Gohan should become a warrior, Chi-Chi took a vested interest in Gohan's studies and wanted him to become a great scholar. This was due to her not wanting Gohan to wind up like his father, and has willingly stated that she places Gohan's studies above the existence of the entire planet. Her desires for Gohan's future would go on to shape the boy's wants due to her own influences. She also has a huge dislike for Super Saiyans. It can also be said that she has become slightly shallow, favoring anything that can earn her money. This was best seen during her interactions with Videl. Chi-Chi initially disliked the girl until she found out that Videl was rich, and then immediately asked when Gohan and Videl would get married. Chi-Chi has also shown to be a bit selfish when it comes to dealing with her family, demanding that Goku learn to drive or get a job when she could easily get one herself. And despite the Earth being in constant danger, she puts her eldest son's studies above the fate of the world in a paradoxical fashion and rarely shows any empathy to the people who are killed in the battles, and doesn't even show concern to when Goku is injured gravely as shown in the post-battle against Vegeta. Despite her harsh and abrasive nature, it can be said that Chi-Chi truly does love her family. When Goku returned from the dead for a day, she was shown with tears of joy much like her eldest son, and embraced her husband with the rest of his friends and family. She was further moved when Goku had to return to the afterworld, crying again as her husband had to leave, and expressing the worry that her youngest son would be killed by Majin Buu. Her demeanor appeared to change slightly after Goku was killed during the Cell game. When she had her second child, Son Goten, who greatly resembled his father, she appeared to relax herself immensely. Rather than force the child to study, she instead trained him in martial arts, much like she was trained as a child, though it is implied she stopped training him after he became a Super Saiyan. She also relented when Gohan asked to compete in the Tenka-Ichi Budōkai, though she only agreed due to the prospect of prize money. Appearance. Chi-Chi has fair skin, black eyes, and long black hair. As a child, Chi-Chi wore a blue armored bikini, pink gloves and matching boots, a green cape, and a pink helmet, complete with a curved throwing blade on the top, and a jewel at the center. This jewel can be used to release energy attacks. As an adult, when she met Goku at the Tenka-Ichi Budōkai, Chi-Chi's hair remained long but was now tied behind her back, with two locks framing the side of her face. Her attire consisted of a blue chipao, with red GI pants, red armbands, pink shoes with white wrappings, and a red sash. After marrying Goku and having a son, Chi-Chi donned another similar dress, purple this time with yellow lining, a yellow sash, an orange cape, red bracelets with matching earrings, and purple boots, lined with yellow, and similarly colored socks. She'd since changed her hairstyle as well, wearing it in a bun, but with the same locks framing her face. Sometime after the adventures on Namek, Chi-Chi's attire changed again to another similar dress, also colored purple, with pink sleeves with golden cuffs, and matching colored GI pants with maroon boots. She continued to wear her hair in the same style as before. 7 years after the defeat of Cell, Chi-Chi's style changed yet again. Her new outfit consisted another chipao, yellow in color with red lining. She wore a white, long-sleeved undershirt, which was later removed to allow her to walk sleeveless, and blue GI pants, purple boots with red lining, and a purple cape. Her earrings were now green rather than red. Her hairstyle had changed once more, the locks that framed her face being no longer present, but still wearing it in a bun. Abilities. Chi-Chi has enough physical strength to lift her husband, Son Gokū. According to the Kame Sennin, under the guise of anonymity, Chichi was said to have learned the foundation of the style of the Kame Senryu school without having to join the school itself. Biography. Background. Chichi was born in November 5 of age 737, which the death of her mother shortly followed the same year. When she was 2 years old, both she and her father, the Ox King, were trapped outside their castle when a fire spirit was unleashed on it, making it become Fire Mountain. During her childhood with the Ox King, she was trained in martial arts, and it is said she has to behave well around him. Dragon Ball. Emperor Pilaf Saga. Since her father's castle on Fire Mountain was impossible for both of them to reach, she was sent to retrieve the Bansho fan from her father's old mentor, Master Roshi. Chichi is first seen on her way to find Roshi while running away from a dinosaur that she later decapitates with her helmet's blade and explodes with a blast from her helmet. Afterward, she runs into Yamcha, who she attacks with a laser beam fired out of her helmet since she is afraid of strangers. After getting knocked unconscious by Yamcha for attempting to attack him, he returns to her aid after realizing she is the Ox King's daughter. When she first awakens, she views Yamcha as a threat and gets ready to attack. He lies and says he loves her to keep her from hurting him because he had seen what happened to the dinosaur. Because she is naive, she believes him. When she turns her back, Yamcha runs away. Soon afterward, she comes across Goku on his flying Nimbus, who tells her that the Ox King sent him to find her and take her to Master Roshi. While getting on the Nimbus, Chi-Chi accidentally pulls Goku's tail, revealing to Yamcha, who was hiding, what Goku's weakness was. While riding the flying Nimbus with Goku, he patted her genitals with his foot to determine her gender. In the edited version, he merely tells her that she should put more clothing on. Though Chi-Chi initially got angry and pushed Goku off the Nimbus, and comically crashed into a large rock afterward, this act made Chi-Chi believe that Goku may be in love with her. This is when Chi-Chi falls in love with Goku, although due to Goku's much more naive personality, he does not realize what this means until he meets Chi-Chi again in the Piccolo Jr. saga. When he does, he seems uncomfortable with it at first, but then gets used to it and eventually shows that he cares a lot about Chi-Chi. When they arrive at Master Roshi's, Roshi told both of them that he accidentally threw the Bansho fan out and that he will have to put it out himself. Chi-Chi and Goku took the flying Nimbus back to Fire Mountain to meet back up with everyone, with Master Roshi riding baby Gamera right behind them. Master Roshi demonstrated the Kamehameha to put out the flames on Fire Mountain, but unfortunately, it destroyed their castle as well. After Goku's friends get the Dragon Ball, Goku leaves. Just before Goku left, she asks Goku if he will think of her during his journey, to which he replies yes. Then, he asks her if she will think of him, which causes her to blush and giggle, making Goku wonder if all girls are this silly. First date with Goku. During the Great Saiyaman Saga episode Gohan's First Date, Chi-Chi tells Gohan, who had just been blackmailed into going on a date with Angela, of her first date with Goku through a flashback to when they were teenagers. Though still with the appearance of pre-adolescent children, she claims that she forced Goku into it, but did not blackmail him. She told him to think of the most pleasurable thing to do and then coax her into doing it. Naturally, Goku considered fighting the most pleasurable thing to do, and, though initially unwilling, Chi-Chi quickly got into it, surprisingly proving to be a fairly equal match for him. Looking back on it, Chi-Chi states that it was a great first date. When this occurred is unknown, though it was presumably at an off-screen point sometime before Goku trained under Master Roshi, as he was not wearing the Turtle School uniform, instead, wearing the blue uniform that he wore at the time he first met her. Red Ribbon Army Saga. After the town at Fire Mountain was rebuilt and repopulated, Chi-Chi grew lonely and waited for Goku. The Ox King took Chi-Chi to the village psychic to tell her when Goku was going to come back. When the psychic said that he was approaching, and since she wants to marry him, Ox King began to prepare for the wedding. While the wedding was being prepared, Chi-Chi picked flowers outside the village and Goku showed up and they talked for a while. Eventually, Goku and Chi-Chi notice smoke coming from the nearby village, so they go to check it out. Colonel Silver and his troops attacked the village, making Goku and Chi-Chi get on the Nimbus and help. Chi-Chi ended up taking out several soldiers while crying using the laser from her helmet. The Red Ribbon Army forced Goku to leave and continue his journey. Just before he leaves, Chi-Chi asks him what about the wedding, to which Goku replies, "I'll be back, I'll try some of that next time." Goku's naivete causes him to think that a wedding is some sort of food. When Goku came to Korin Tower during his time training to fight mercenary Tao, he looked into a jar that showed what had happened before in the meadow where they were talking. King Piccolo Saga. Chi-Chi makes a brief anime-only appearance in the King Piccolo saga when Goku saves her father from King Furry's soldiers, who were to execute martial artists on King Piccolo's orders. She is depicted as having matured faster than Goku, which would become somewhat of a running joke in later years. Later, in the second half of the saga, she and Ox King are seen at his castle following King Piccolo's defeat. Piccolo Jr. Saga. 3 years later, Chichi participates in the 23rd World Martial Arts Tournament, hiding her name as anonymous. Her number during the preliminary rounds of this tournament is 59. Chichi goes up to Goku and says hi, but Goku does not recognize who she is, which makes her angry, calling him stupid. She is mainly upset because Goku forgot her name and had never come back to keep the promise, which Goku had forgotten about because he went straight to the lookout following the defeat of King Piccolo. She states that if Goku defeats her in the semi-final match, she will tell him why she is mad and what her name is. In fact, two have deduced her identity, Oolong and Master Roshi. In the match, Goku does so by simply throwing a punch at the air, the force of which knocks Chichi out of the ring. She then reveals her identity, shocking everybody. Goku is shocked to realize that it was the little Chichi he had met earlier and that she has grown up as much as he had, and gets even more of a shock when she reminds him of the promise he made her. He then reveals that he did remember it, but also that he promised that because he was unaware of what a bride was, which is a statement that leaves Chichi nearly emotionally shattered. Nonetheless, Goku keeps his promise and proposes to her in front of the whole crowd. Chichi then tells Goku she is in love with him, and he, not knowing what she meant by that, is confused because of his naive nature. She says "I'll show you" and kisses Goku on the cheek, leading to a humorous reaction from Krillin and the applause of the crowd. She also apologized to Yamcha for not marrying him, as she still assumes that Yamcha is in love with her, thus getting Bulma very frustrated at Yamcha, as he did not tell her about the confession he made up to Chi-Chi when she was little. Goku remains unaware of the meaning of her emotional advances towards him for the duration of the tournament. Afterwards, in the anime-only filler conclusion to the Dragon Ball TV series, they go on several adventures to retrieve the Bancho fan in order to put out the fire on Chi-Chi's mountain home, which was already destroyed in both the manga and anime, to save her father who was protecting her mother's old wedding dress for Chi-Chi to wear. By the end of Dragon Ball, she and Goku become happily married with Chi-Chi in her mother's dress. Interlude. At the age of 20, Chi-Chi gives birth to her first son, Gohan. While thinking about what to name him, Chi-Chi thinks of the name Einstein, which everyone hates. Ox King rails off several names, all including the word ox. The baby expresses his distaste in these as well. Chi-Chi then yelled at Goku for wanting to go fishing without coming up with at least one name. While yelling at Goku, Chi-Chi says the name of Goku's adoptive grandfather Gohan. Gohan laughed each time he heard the name, and Ox King notices this and interrupts Chi-Chi's yelling to make Gohan's laughing known to his parents. Goku and Chi-Chi both accept his name idea. Dragon Ball Z. Saiyan Saga. For years later, during the time of the Saiyan conflict, Chi-Chi's husband Goku was slain in battle to defeat his brother Raditz, and her son Gohan was kidnapped by Piccolo to be trained at Break Wasteland for the battle with the remaining Saiyans that were on their way to Earth. Chi-Chi found this out after going in rage at Kame House. 1 year later, she returned to Kame House and witnessed the battle against the Saiyans on fortune-teller Baba's crystal ball. After the battle and Vegeta's retreat, she came with the rest of the Dragon Team's supporters to find her son and recently revived husband had survived the battle, but both badly injured, and Gohan unconscious after transforming into a great ape. She completely ignored the near-to-death, broken Goku, and looked after her son, while angry at Goku for letting their own child fight against the Saiyans, although it was a decision which had been made by Piccolo, not Goku. Frieza Saga. Chi-Chi took care of Goku in Ryukong Hospital while Gohan, who was healed, went with Krillin and Bulma to Piccolo's homeworld planet Namek to use the Namekian Dragon Balls to revive the fallen Z fighters from the battle. Once Goku was healed and left to meet up with them on Namek, Chi-Chi gathered Master Roshi, Oolong, Puar, and Yajirobe to try to use another one of Dr. Brief's spaceships to fly to Namek to rescue Gohan and the others from the threat Frieza which was on Namek. Instead, the ship did not work, so they were forced to stay behind on Earth and wait. In the manga, there is a single panel showing Chi-Chi and Ox King eating at the table in Goku's house. She wonders if Gohan is studying properly and when her son and husband will return, with Ox King stating they're probably already on their way home, showing both are ignorant of the battle on planet Namek unlike their anime counterparts. Chi-Chi is reunited with Gohan when everybody on Namek except Goku and Frieza was transported to Earth. Chi-Chi witnessed Porunga revive the fallen Z fighters and tell them that Goku is still alive and on his way back, as well as gave Master Roshi an implied threat to stab him with a sword after the latter, in frustration, stated that Goku's reason for not returning immediately is because he is scared of Chi-Chi, who is the one being stronger than a Super Saiyan. Frieza Androids Interlude. In the anime, when Garlic Jr.'s Black Water Mist was released on Earth, Chi-Chi was one of the many that was infected by it and fought Gohan on top of Kame House. The only reason she arrived at Kame House is because Gohan snuck out of the house when he was supposed to be studying and was angered at Marin when she first meets her. She was returned to normal when Cammy and Mr. Popo dispersed the sacred water on the Earth. Gohan then managed to seal Garlic Jr. back into the dead zone, but she increased security to prevent Gohan from sneaking out of his studies again. The Garlic Jr. saga filler is one of the few times in Dragon Ball Z where Chi-Chi is seen fighting and the only time in the series that Chi-Chi actually engages her firstborn son in combat due to the influence of the black water mist. Chi-Chi hires an instructor for Gohan named Mr. Shu. Chi-Chi eventually gets mad at him and kicks him out by launching him out the window with her bare hands when he insults Goku. After Goku returned from Namek, she has to deal with having Piccolo stay with them so they can train for the upcoming androids. She also ends up injured by Goku. He accidentally knocked her several yards away when patting her because he forgot that he was much stronger than before, and irritably and reluctantly allowing Gohan to train for the battle with the androids. Eventually, she gets stressed out by the increased amount of chores she has to do and forces both Goku and Piccolo to try to get their driver's licenses. Android Saga. Chi-Chi takes care of Goku while he has his heart virus. Cell Saga. When she sees Goku fully standing, she is overjoyed and runs to him and gives a big hug, to which he responds by swinging her around. Chi-Chi tells him to come back safe from his battle with Cell. He does, as seen in Memories of Gohan, before the Cell games. Around this time, Goku and Chi-Chi conceive their second son, Goten. Chi-Chi is widowed again when Goku dies in the Cell games while protecting the Earth from Cell, causing her to break down in tears. She also gets scared and breaks down in tears when she watches Gohan's and Cell's Kamehameha collide on TV, hoping that her son does not die. In the time following Gohan's victory over Cell, Chi-Chi cried to herself to sleep for many nights over Goku's death. Great Saiyaman Saga. 7 years later, Chi-Chi is much more mellow by age 774. It is implied that she became more mellow because she felt a sense of guilt for Goku's death, as she believed that if she had not been harsh to her son, Goku may still have been alive. She is not as strict with Goten during the Buu saga and even becomes less strict with a now teenage Gohan. She trains Goten on how to fight, although when she learns that Goten could transform into a Super Saiyan, she breaks down and shouts "Not another monster in the family," which resulted in Goten not wishing to turn Super Saiyan in her presence. World Tournament Saga. She is told by Gohan that Goku will be returning to Earth for one day to attend the 25th World Martial Arts Tournament, which of course makes her extremely happy. When she sees Goku, she tells him she missed him so much, which is what Goku says to her as well. Later, Chi-Chi attends the tournament to cheer on her sons and deceased husband. She spends most of the time arguing with Bulma over whose sons and husband will win, though she knocks out Idasa's mother when the mother starts to attack Bulma after Idasa loses to Trunks. Majin Buu Saga. After the World Martial Arts Tournament, she goes with the others to look for the Dragon Balls. Chi-Chi must take refuge on Kami's lookout. Chi-Chi and the others are told by Goku of Vegeta and Gohan's deaths. Chi-Chi takes the news hard and is very upset, and is even more upset when she finds out Goku is leaving to go back to the other world. She runs up and gives Goku a hug, crying in his arms and asking him, "But, Goku. Goku, how can you say goodbye, when Gohan's been taken from me, too?" Goku then assures her that she will be fine since she still has Goten and that he will not be taken from her because he will master the fusion dance technique with Trunks. They are later seen holding hands, with Goku telling her that he will tell Gohan how much she misses him, unaware at the time that Gohan was actually still alive in the sacred world of the Kai. A day later, Super Buu finds the tower and allows them to live for a short time. Super Buu used his human extinction attack to kill all the people on Earth except for the family and friends on the lookout. Chi-Chi is angry with Super Buu when he comes to Kami's lookout. During this time, while on the lookout, Chi-Chi scolds and unwisely slaps the monster in the face for killing so many people, including Gohan. Thus, she is turned into an egg and killed by him. This utterly shocks Goten, who witnessed Chi-Chi's death. Later during the battle, she is resurrected with the Dragon Balls and joins in supplying Goku with the energy for the Spirit Bomb to destroy Kid Buu. With Goku now alive again, Chi-Chi is happily reunited with her husband and sons. When Goku tells her he wants to live with her and their sons together, she gives Goku a big hug and cries in his arms, happy to finally be reunited with her husband at last, who tells her that he loves her. Her family spent the remainder of Dragon Ball Z in much happier, peaceful times. Dragon Ball Super. God of Destruction Beerus Saga. Sometime after the 6-month period following the battle with the pure Majin Buu, Chi-Chi becomes ecstatic about the large sum of money that Goku brings home, happy that with the money Goten can get top-quality education. Chi-Chi allows Goku to go and train but tells her husband to come back once in a while. Mutant Rashi arrives at the Sun home, looking for Goku, in the hopes of using it to purchase adult videos. Chi-Chi is angered by this and violently sends him away. Chi-Chi is invited to Bulma's birthday party at the luxurious passenger ship, though she later gets upset for the fact that her husband is spending time training instead of passing more time in events like this, After Piccolo counts 4 pure-hearted Saiyans for the Super Saiyan God ritual, Goku, Gohan, Goten, and Trunks, Seinen points out that Vegeta has changed a lot over the years, and he has a pure heart now. Piccolo is skeptical, and Chi-Chi agrees with Seinen, insisting that Vegeta is a great father, adding that he took his family on a vacation. After Goku is defeated by Beerus, Chi-Chi runs to her husband's side. Chi-Chi along with the Earth is spared after Beerus falls asleep and returns home. Revival of F arc. In the anime, after the battle with Beerus ends, Goku, Chi-Chi and Goten are having breakfast. After Goten leaves, Goku asks Chi-Chi if he can go and train with North Kao, to which Chi-Chi denies his request. Chi-Chi explains that the 100 million zeni they have has been used up, and as a result she and Goku must find work in order to help their expecting grandchild, making Goku disappointed as he would rather train than work. Later, Goku flies by the arena where Mr. Satan and Galbi are about to fight in with a broken tractor in hand and decides to watch Mr. Satan's fight. Mr. Satan approaches Goku and convinces him to fight Galbi instead in exchange for fixing his tractor, to which Goku approves. Goku prepares to fight. Chi-Chi is carrying groceries for Gohan and Videl and is being helped by Piccolo, who is forced to help due to eating for free at her place. Goku sees Chi-Chi and pretends to be knocked out by Mr. Satan in order to get back to work. Later that night, Goku is unable to enter his home because he hasn't done any work and does not wish to incur Chi-Chi's wrath. 6 months later, Chi-Chi arrives to see Pan and scolds Gohan and Mr. Satan for putting Pan at risk with their play fighting. However, Gohan tells his mother that Pan has Saiyan blood within her, but Chi-Chi still doesn't like the fact that they are showing her fighting, worried that Pan might become a fight-loving idiot like her grandfather Goku and wants her to grow up like a normal girl. However, Mr. Satan retorts, wanting Pan to become a great martial artist like him. Soon, Mr. Satan and Chi-Chi argue over Pan's future. After Gohan calms them down, Chi-Chi declares that she won't let Pan become a martial artist. Eventually, Chi-Chi and Videl lock themselves in a room with Pan to discuss Pan's future after Gohan and Mr. Satan showed irresponsible behavior. After telling Chi-Chi that's it's her, Bulma is taken into the room by Chi-Chi. Videl has a discussion with Bulma and Chi-Chi about Pan. Eventually, Videl decides that she wants Pan to grow up however she wants. After Bulma mentions Vegeta being trained by Whis, Goku expresses his desire to train under Whis as well. Chi-Chi refuses to allow Goku to train. Sometime later after Whis returns, Chi-Chi arrives at Capsule Corporation and has found out Goku's plan to train. Goku tries to convince Chi-Chi to allow him to train, but Chi-Chi refuses, and even Gohan and Goten's requests in allowing Goku to train fall on deaf ears. Whis decides to leave, causing Goku to apologize to Chi-Chi and grabs onto Whis. Whis and Goku begin traveling to planet Beerus. Chi-Chi relents after knowing the inevitable would happen and knows Goku will return when he's hungry. Power. Manga and anime. As a child, Chi-Chi demonstrated superhuman characteristics, as she was able to outrun a dinosaur and throw her blade with enough force to decapitate it. She was however knocked out by an attack from Yamcha. During her sparring date with Goku, she proved to be an even match for him, showing she was extremely strong for a human child. As an adult, she is arguably the strongest human woman on the planet, as she was able to endure a fight with Goku during the 23rd World Martial Arts Tournament. During the Garlic Jr. saga, while infected by the black water mist, Chi-Chi is able to hold her own against Gohan due to the mist, making her a ruthless fighter, though Gohan likely held back to avoid seriously hurting his own mother, who was not in her right mind due to the mist. Krillin also stated to Marin after a near-disastrous first meeting that Chi-Chi was one of the strongest humans in existence. In addition, at one point while arguing with Bulma after Marin not only called the two middle-aged ladies, but the latter falsely implied that Chi-Chi was older than her, she humorously emitted electrical arcs from her eyes, as did Bulma. During Goten's youth, she was able to spar with him in his base form and was able to pressure him enough to force him to involuntarily transform into a Super Saiyan. Abilities. Chi-Chi has enough physical strength to lift her husband, Son Gokū. According to the Seinen, under the guise of anonymity, Chi-Chi was said to have learned the foundation of the style of the Senryu school without having to join the school itself. If you want to support me, check out my Patreon at https://www.patreon.com/Kaioshin. I tend to polls that decide important plot stuff in my P at Trian. Many thanks to my awesome patrons. Ben Phillips.
If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later, bye bye.